It's Melanie here from the Halton Hills Chamber of Commerce, and we are so happy to bring another Member Spotlight recording to you today. Today, I'm joined by Louisa, who is with LD Human Resources. Louisa, I'm guessing that the L in LD might be you. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. Louisa to Jesus is the LD. Yeah. What gave it away, right?
I love it when you have initials that work. Mine are MF, and it never sounds good. Wearing it somewhere. Oh my gosh. So you're fairly new members of the Halton Hills Chamber, and I really love your business model. So you do it's human resources consultant, but tell me more. You're more like a fractional HR person for companies. So tell me a little bit about your company and what services you can offer to people.
Sure. Thanks, Melanie. So we offer a variety of different HR services. So anything to do with your people, we would support. And we recognize that every business is on a different journey. So from startup to large enterprise, we would support. We really don't discriminate, we say. We put sort of a circle around the client versus putting the client in a box. So we would do ad hoc as needed, if it's just advice, like you would call your accountant or your lawyer. From an HR perspective, we would do projects, we do training, we have an online portal for some of our startups. But a lot of our clients look at our retainer program, which is essentially what you said is our fractional HR support. In that model, we are truly a 3-in-1 solution. So you have the strategy, you have the day-to-day management, and then you have the admin coordination support. And so you have one particular individual who is your main point of contact, and we would loop those other individuals in as needed. But we're essentially like your HR department.
Yeah.
So we would support leaders, organically coaching them, but essentially setting up and identifying gaps and creating an effective HR structure and implementing and sort of supporting it to ensure that it aligns with the business objectives and have a positive workplace culture. Because when we have that, then we have happy people and we have profit on our bottom line.
Sure. And what kind of piqued my interest about what you just said, because a lot of our companies are either in that startup phase or they're starting to scale up. Talk to me about that portal. So what kind of resources could they access in that?
For sure. So that, depending on what the needs are, we have our basics, which is like your employment contract, your policy guide, your compliance basics, we call it. And so that's the sort of the base of it. There is also a free plan if you wanted to look at some key policies, which we would offer. But essentially, depending on what you're looking for, as the program, as you decide to get enhanced offerings, you could have, for example, a performance management program or recruitment template. So essentially, it's an online portal of different templates. And then with the membership, each individual who's signed up would also have access to 30 minutes of free consultation every month.
Oh, wow.
We also do something called HR Real Talk. It's our YouTube. And I also have short stints that we tease on our Instagram and our socials sometimes, where we answer sort of very logical, kind of common sense HR questions that come up, more so from the leader and business perspective, but also employee perspective. So you get access to all of that sort of free advice, as well as the program that you have with templates.
I love that. We hear a lot from our companies, they're like, I went into business because I know how to do this.
Yes.
I don't know how to be an HR professional. And people are so afraid of making a mistake. So when do you suggest to a company that it's time to bring an HR professional on board, whether it be at a fractional level, slightly higher if they're scaling up, or if they're a startup and they need access to templates and advice as needed?
I think you hit the nail on the head when you first said it. We all, as entrepreneurs, our business is our area of expertise. So if you're unsure, just ask. So for myself, I'm not a finance professional. I started to do it by myself. I reached out to a fractional CFO because, and then ever since, I wish I would have called them sooner, because that's where things were much more effective in my business. So that was actually something that I realized very quickly. I used to work at an accounting firm. The partners used to come to me and ask me to help the various trusted businesses that they supported. And I realize that people just don't know what they don't know. And so our job is to make their life easier, whether it's a manager, whether it's an entrepreneur, business owner. If it's something, a lot of people don't think they can ask certain questions or not sure what to do. It's a simple question. We can either give you advice or we can kind of take care of it for you, obviously, depending on what you're looking for, because we want to make sure it's aligned, right? So if it's a small business, we have some clients that they only have 5 employees. They only call us when they need us. But oftentimes they're supporting directly because they don't want to make it seem like, oh, we've got the HR. People just don't talk when we're
Right.
comes to the territory. Oh no, HR is here. I'm in trouble. That's not the case. So we want to make sure it's aligned though.
Well, and it's interesting because HR can be such a positive impact too. HR allows, and I'm sure you see this and provide this, it allows for a fulsome employee booklet where staff are supported and where, rules and boundaries are clearly in place at the start, so people know what to expect, right? So that there aren't any surprises down the road. So
Yeah.
are you seeing any trends in HR that would necessitate a company to call you sooner rather than later?
Well, there's a lot, I would say, in today's economy for sure. I think that there's a couple of things I would say. One, people are starting to understand that maybe there's not necessarily as much work and they need to refine and restructure. So we're doing a lot of consultation around that. The other, it's usually one or the other. The opposite is that they're so busy, they need to scale up. And so to do that effectively, you want to have the proper structure and foundation so that you can grow properly. So, as you mentioned, I think it's about the workplace culture. When people are working in a harmonious environment, they're going to be so effective. They're going to enjoy, they're going to tell their friends. It's going to be organic in terms of growth, right? And so a lot of the times we engage with organizations that they're already in place and they haven't had HR. And so they think they know what they need, but we actually assess that. We have an assessment program where we're saying, okay, you want to implement an RSP program to keep people here in terms of a match, but when we go and do this assessment, we recognize gaps and we hear from staff, and it could be that they're just looking for feedback on their career growth, right? So it's not always about how people spend money or, people think culture is that we have pizza lunches. No, it's how you treat people.
Right.
It's how you appreciate and you recognize, you give growth opportunities and, or have diversity in terms of your, your mindset, your offerings, your perspectives. It's really sort of a fulsome approach when you look at that. So it could be an employee that a lot of times people call us because something happened and there's a problem. So yes, definitely we're an option for that. And instead of kind of going the legal route, we could support and maybe salvage things. Or alternatively, we're looking to scale, or we just want to fix a problem. Or maybe they haven't had anything and they're ready to go to the next level and they want to do things, make sure that they're on point in terms of aligning their people with their objectives of their business.
Yeah. Wow. Sounds like you must see some really interesting situations. So I think we'll leave it there because we want to tease people a little bit and have them check out your Instagram, and we'll make sure we include your contact information. But I think it's worth a conversation for companies that have questions about how they can have some HR on site and supported by you. So any final thoughts that you want to leave people with, if there was one thing that you'd want them to put in place in their HR plans today?
I would say that something one of my old partners when I worked at the accounting firm, just be nice.
Aww.
Is always, something to think about, right? And if you're not sure, ask.
Yeah.
I'm happy to give a free consultation if someone's unsure, of what their options are, and then we can explore from there.
I love
So
that.
be nice and just ask.
Just ask and be nice. Yeah, I think those are rules for life. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, it was so great to talk to you today. Thank you for being a Halton Hills Chamber member, and hopefully we'll see you at an event one of these days.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.